Sanjay
Pada
Padan
Shasu
Shasu
Temba Dawa Japa Chiteng
Tamba
Kibu
Jebu
Due
Deve
Kalo
Kalo
Juba
Juba
Lana
Lana
Mepa
Mepata
Rata Mina Get
Tamba Sanjay
Sumdende Baya Jaya Tuba
Tuba La
Chatalo
Chachalo
Choto
Chodo Joso
Jato
Che
Chie O Tamba Chumdende
Chumdende Deshe
Teje
Sheba Dachomba
Yana
Yanda
Vel
Sanjay
Pada
Padan
Shasu
Shasu Tamba
Dawa Japa Chiteng Kimba Kibu
Jibun
Due
Deve
Kalo
Kalo Juba Lana
Lana Mepa
Mepa
Lata
Lata
Mina
Minam
Get Tumba
Tomba
Sange
Sanjay Chumdende
Pegava
Pejawa
Jaya
Shaja Tuba
Tubara
La
Chasa
Chasa
Cheda
Kyoso
Gazu
che
Jio
o
Atumba
chomdende
Chumdende
te shin
Tejin
shaba
Shaba
da
Tajumba
chomba
Yanda
yanda para sobes.
Reba
Kripa da
Dan Shasu
shoso
Demba
demba
Deva
devara
Jaba
sheba
Jidin
jiden
Kimba
kemba
Kibu
gyobo deve
Due
kalo
Kalo
gyoba
Juba
lana.
Lanam
Lada
Adami
minam
Nange
de
Tumba
tomba
Zange
sange chomde.
Chumdende Pagava Shakya Tuba Chazalo Chodo Gyal
Kyoso che
Kiao
o
Kanze Kani So Kyotanze
chodamze
Sachin
sajende
Deva
la
Kumba
kumba
Tumba
tumba.
Nani
Ngani
Jiten
jiden
Dena
dena
Choje
choje
Sun
su
Tese
teze
Kever
keba kyoba choba.
Chaselo Namda Dunga Chotu
Chodo
Suzan Wa
su.
Yishi Gyazo
Sege
Sege Rumbo
rumbo da
Taba
taba
Jitan
jiden
Zana
suna
Lame
lame
Wa Kumbo
gombo
Choni
choni kela chacha
Chaselo Vegla
sencho
Kumba
demba
Time
time
Tawe
daesha
Selo
semba
Dawa
dawa
Kyola
kela chacha
Chaselo Dude
dude
Kyoda
keda
Sipa
seba
Suma
suma chi
Nyame
nyame
Kenchen
kinchen
Kyola
kela chacha
Chaselo Kumbo
gombo
Tuje
tuje
Cheda
chedemba
Tamje
tamche
Gembe
kembe
Tamba
domba
Bosana
busana
Yundin Kyazo Tejin
deshin
Shala
shela chacha
Chaselo Tabe
tabe
Doja
deja
Dawa Yu
gewe
Gewing and
ngeson
Son Lidu
lidu
Chidu
jidu
Dunda
dundan
Chogyo Bashigyo Chala Chaselo Tene
Done
True
Joe
Lam
Lamyanda Lava Dala
Tabadala Rabdu
Rabdun
Ne Shingi
Shingi
Damba
Damba
Yundin
Yenden
Kindun
Gindun
Laya
Laya
Chaselo Dibachi
Dibaji
Amija
Amija
Dewa
Shingawa
Bunzun
Bunson
Zoba
Zoba
Je Rangi
Rangi
Semni
Semne
Yonzu Dine Zange Tamba
Lemba Yi
Kama
Kamara
Rabre
Mamedan
Mamedan Yuma
Yuma Seba
Zeba Juda
Chubu
Milan
Milan
Lodan
Lodan
Dida
Dinda
Bu Duje
Duje
Jana
Jona
Dita Ta
Dita
Sananti Tamje Sibayi Koban Toni
Mantone Gengi Ratulde
Kadana Dan Jive La Trube Zibe Zori So I prostrate to the three noble rest of flying ones. Oh, thus did I hear one time the Bhagavan one was dwelling on massive Vajra's mountain in Rajagriha together. Great community of monks and a great community of Buddhists. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena. Profound perception. Also, at that time, the Bodhisattva Lokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom. Now those five aggregates also as empty of inherent. Then through the power of Buddha, the venerable Shariputra said this to Bodhisattva Mahasava Aya Avalokitesh. How should any son of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of he said that in the Bodhisattva Mahasava Aya Avalokiteshvara said this to the venerable Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this correctly and beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherentness. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling discriminate composition of factors and consciousness are Shariputra, likewise all phenomena are emptiness without characteristic and virtue, sustainless not without saying not the of Shariputra, therefore in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discriminant composition of factors, no consciousness, no I know you know, no tongue, no body, no mind, no vision, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element and so on up to including no mind element and no consciousness. There is no ignorance, no suspicion of ignorance, and so on up to and aging and death and no extinction of aging and similarly there is no suffering, origination, cessation, but there is no exalted, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear, having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end of Nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awakened to unsurpassable perfect complete in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies of self, should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection wisdom is declared Tayata Om Kati Kati Para Sangati Buddhi So High Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasava should found perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from the concentration and commended the Bodhis Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshwaras. Was the son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection, just as you have indicated, even the Tathagata Sri. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the venerable Sharidati Putra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those who Kairati, along with the world of God's humans, asuras, and Gandharvas were overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by Bhagavan. Kangi attention Dawa Jungapa Mepa Kim Cheba Mepa Tamepa Wawa Mepa Dom Tadi Demi Dejimi Doba Nishi Shidemba Zobe Sange Manangi Chasa Loi Niente Shiva Sunan Kushi Niki Nishi Tize Kain Tola Pemba Chena Lamshi Niki Chiten Dundu Seba Kanda Yanda Dembe Tunan Naba Kunde Nasoti Nitu Janju Sembe So Sange Gini Yumdal Chaselo
Sanje Chodan Soje
Jonam La
Janju
Janju
Bardo Dane Japsu
Daye Jingi Zonangi Ndola Penje Sang Drubara Sho
Sanje Chodan
Soge
Soje
Jonam La Janju Bado Dane Gyasuchi Daye Jingi Zonangi Ndola Penje Sang Drubara Sho
Sanje Chodan
Soge Jonam La Janju Bado Dane Gyasuchi Daye Jingi Zonangi Ola Penje
Sanje
Rovara Sho
Kangi Tuze Nyasune Tawa Tamje Pambejer Tambe Chen Kodam Dela Chatse Naso Da Kazangi Sanyin Kandugi Kidu Mambe Saton Zimegi Rangi Rimpa Kada Rundugi Kunsan Rangshe Machil Henjegi Chaja Chimbu Yumi Mimingi Kelan Treso Nazo Tanyegi Shapo Drojang Shilu Tibushi Yina Legde Zumu Zusati Jishi Yin Ansi Kazan Tsiktir Heta Tirian Tianjo Lavia Yins.
No. Well, so what we were looking at before Sanyin Katu Sietini Wala. No. Anyway, verses 15, 16, where it says, likewise, many scholars and meditators amid Sakya, Nyingma, Karma, and Drukpa pride themselves on their diverse terminology, reflexive awareness, subject, free, empty, and luminous, primordial purity and spontaneity, Samandabhada's true face, because we didn't actually read this yesterday, so that's good. Mahmud, the uncontrived innate nature, neither is nor is not devoid of any standpoint. This is all splendid if the target is hit, but I wonder what you are all pointing at. So we actually did look at that yesterday, and so we're going to look at that again.
다 가상 년근 숭럽기 에니 베제나네 에네 상아 난줄기 상아 닝메 에네 지 따와 칸데칸데 이 제르무지 따와다 툼베차 칸데칸데 이 시주 칸데칸데 디 가상지 쉬웨인바스 베나 가자메가 인거야 에네 나와를 즉스 제고기 여봐 원투 주거디 에네 상아 닝메 콩도스 즉 쉬웨인바스 에네 사자 처리네야 다간나시 tumbecha야 mambodu was.
Well, what we were looking at yesterday in relation to this was the writings of Nyarang Sungrap. I think that's how it's pronounced anyway. So he was inquiring into. He was looking at the view of reality according to the Nyingmapas, and he was looking at investigating what their view is and looking at the degree to which it's in agreement with the teachings on the view of reality according to Lama Tsongkhapa, whether there is agreement or no agreement or what. And he was talking about how in the Nyingma system you do find the teaching that the emptiness, the ultimate object that one is meditating on, that needs to be a non-affirming negation. And also we find that in that tradition, then there's also, just like in Gyaltsen Rinpoche, Lama Tsongkhapa's tradition, there is also the emphasis on working with the appearances. And we also saw that there are a lot of similarities between the Sakya tradition, their teachings, and those of Lama Tsongkhapa.
Tepena Sachin Kunga Nyingbo gi Tanyi gi Drebe Nala ene Chitar Nawa Tamjeta Kanda Umaten Sayagi Titsig Katula Umaten Dangi en Tanyi gi Drebe Katula Chitar Nawa Tamje Kunzo Zamde Tenjin Driver Jungwe Chirisne Tenjin Driver Jungwa Gitsen de Kunzo Zamde Yebachi Resne o Yuzuti Tanya Zamgi Yuzuti Sebo Jechik Sungudu was Techi Tedi Nyangmo Sungro Lungdamba de Marda that lesson Shendare.
So then so that's the Nyerung Sungrap. So then also in the teachings of Sachin Kunga Nyingbo, so the great Sakya Lama, right? So when he is demonstrating, explaining the middle way, he says that because when we examine appearances, because everything is a dependent arising, therefore they only exist nominally.
Ta sajen kunga nyimbo lobe sonan zum jizu thaba janzes ta sajen kunga nungena jizu thaba janzes shuya chidwa o jizu thaba janzes se shuya tigi eni junju sherab liu debe khadula junju sherab liu debe khadula eni gyabula dambe rabje ina khaina chi dinema lungthane yul ta pen pejo thonda tewa de shushana gasare tinjung kunzo gyumata butans tenjung de kunzo gyumata buta rangshin thondam tongba nita yangs rangshin thondam tongba nita yang nika yerme sungdu jubani gyulam dibu chugun khambar zeus o kunzo ene tenju gyumata buche rangshin thondam de karasna tongba nitiche o that rangshin thondam tongba nite da kunzo gyumata butini yerme sungdu jubati 아니 규 qabla inar lam qabla inar jibu qabla inar ti katuin ya ti kengo res 제제 도스네 순구도 왔다 대야 반대다요 공부치만 치신 제피도 왔어.
Then another great Dian Sakyapa.
네, 사저 고만남네 나네.
And another of the great, early Sakya masters, that particular group of 5. Sometimes, as I think I said yesterday, I've seen it translated as like the 5 patriarchs of the Sakya tradition. So anyway, so one of them is Dapa Gyaltsen, right? So in his commentary on the 9th chapter of the Bodhisattva Charivatara, what he says is that these 2 things, dependent arisings, which are conventionalities, just like illusions, and the ultimate nature, which is emptiness, these 2 are one inseparable union. And this is something, so what he goes on to say, this is something that we need to know in terms of the basis, the path, and the result. So this is exactly the view of Chandakirti.
이나양 사자와 강갈로 텐데 레미두스 베나 추진 직매비나 벤젠 샤자 총den기 아니 루 고물루도 단다와 타베 메가디 체동을 했은 쓴거든.
체동, no.
고물루도 다와 타베 메가 쓴거도 체동도 시합 냠술 레미룸스 어떤데야 순년도와.
Chitong said the casa de Chetasaru. No. 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 So, but it's not all of the Sakyapas that that take that position, because, for example, there's the Shakya Chokden. So he says that the emptiness that's taught by Nagarjuna is so Chetong would be like a nihilistic emptiness. So no.
Then
I want to mention a little bit about the Kagyupas.
Ta Kagyupa rang shung thone chebeina telobata narubal tuyore telobata narubati da medibal tuyore and not telo naru medibal gombat kandejiore tanju tawala rebe yang tunda shenda do deba soru semzambe soru tindeji tawaji rebe chebeina telobag gombaya tanjuwa narubag gombaya tanjuwa medibal gombaya tanjuwa imba o tuzuchi duguduwa
no
ta telobag karis narubal ma labjaji kembe nan telobag ngur narubal labjaji kembe chigina karisungudusuna nawa tenji denjun this now tenjin rewa jung yugen na choba this to go the tanya de tiche kyawa meba mato sta kyawa meba singde and then the tashil kyawa meba the geometry kogurwa sonyi gi singda kolotang jawa mache narobas ticheni kanda nawa tenjin rewa jung yebe kunzo chatiche kyawa meba mato sing dondam tiche din이 탑시 din이 순주 돈 총익이 신대 콜로던데네 아니 din이 야제도 제룬거 말에 나로바스 이제 들어봐 나로바 랍작인 거도 간다 덴바니 야제도 그 벤다지다 있는 건조 din이 쇼양 가부 제교 감에 잡었더니 교 감에 둔다는 개vel은 거 수도 개회인데 가서 바로 쳐도 들어서 나와서 숨어 들어가라래 다 건조 덴바니 네 람탑시니 din이니부터 카테메바 아니 찍도가지고 고고르다스 나로바 깨와 나와 템진 덴중디 깨와 메바 마토버 초니 신다 콜로탕 자와 마제 나로바스
신다나지
신달이야 콜로 니고아나시 콜로야 지금 신달로 두고 매네
Then, so for the Kagyupa tradition, so when we look at the actual Kagyu texts, the real Kagyu text, which means that these teachings which come down from Telopa and his disciple Naropa, and then if you go further back, then Machipa. So if you investigate their teachings to see what their view about ultimate reality is, is it more like Vaibhashika? Is it more like Sotrandika, Chittamatra, Madhyamika? Then what you discover is that actually Telopa, Naropa, and Maitripa were all three Asangikas. So, for example, there is a song of advice given by Telopa to Naropa, and in this, he says that the conventional level of appearances, which are all dependent originations, dependent arisings, and the unproduced, which means unproduced from the four extremes, so that's referring to the ultimate. So those two, he says, those two are like the two wheels of a cart, which you have to have together always. So he advises Naropa to always practice these two inseparably, all the way along the path. So this is very much like what Chandakirti says, where he gives the analogy of the two wings of a bird that you need to fly to enlightenment. So Telopa is talking about it in terms of the two wheels of a cart.
Ta Naropa ki tawati kandechire shivaina dinde sungudwa tanda di sound bi zaju yorwa sound bi zaju gyuchima saji zaju lu chobje bati mana chudum bati mana chire o tichen gyuchima sigore o tigi ene devas Naropa sunguyo imare chime gyugi tensende drama save jenanes Donsers na panda dawa chapa zebi donserwa sound bi donser jesu danes drama save jendane ludu menga sheba is ta gomu ludu dawa chapa gi adi menga da tumba chini shegiyos sheba is kanda tisungudwa kanda gomu ludu dawa chapa jenda tetsa maimba tadungyandu lobe ludu pakwala lui chanju shajashe dawa chapa la sobe menga rimba la tene dagi gishes o dostene bede gomu ludu aya dewa lobe lujang shajashinge dawa chapa o tuzu menga la tene and sandu gyuchime ten and demand degius
Titsende zote chasang amzonde lobe ludu
aya dewa lujang
no
shajashinge dawa chapa lobe ludu pakwala lui chanju shajeshe dawa chapa la sobe menga rimba la tene dagi gis o tuche sungudu dichidu ta pande tangyo jenda imal tezomende bachi.
Then as for the ultimate view of reality according to Naropa, so Naropa himself says in his commentary to the Sagyugi Tapa and the Gyuchima. No, and the Yanadeli Chudumba Yina.
Think it is Jesha.
No, that's not.
To then the Shisha sound with the Gyuchima de Luke has a yay.
No. No. No, so
Pretty Lucho Jabat, Luchu Dundi, Sandu Zajurange, Gyuchima de Lucho Jabat, Piji Sunday.
Yeah, so yeah, so his view. So he says in his commentary to the Gyuchima, so that would be like the latter Tantra. So this would be the, I think probably, I'm not 100%, I don't 100% remember, but I think it's the 18th. So that would be the 18th chapter of the Guru Samaja Root Tantra. So that's referred to as the Gyuchima, so the later, the Tantra. So in commenting on that, Naropa himself says that his commentary is based on the commentary on the Guru Samaja composed by Chandakirti, the Dunsel. No.
Sandutsa you can jabba Dunsel. Sandutsa you can jabba.
Oh.
And then the Taban Dunsel.
Dunsel. So it's he was talking about Chandakirti's commentary to the root Guru Samaj Tantra called the Dunsel, so like the illuminating lamp, something like that. So anyway, he goes on to say that so it's not just Chandakirti. He says that he's following. So in commenting on the Guru Samaj Tantra, he's following the tradition of Nagarjuna, of Aryadeva, Nagabodhi, and then also Shakashinya. Shakyamitra, Shenin as Shakyamitra, and also Chandakirti. So in saying that, he's showing us very clearly that he himself is Prasangika. That's his view.
Kazan lame menga ki majen umaya dumbutam de chisinge kazan ji kyora imba.
No.
Ti lame menga ki majen umaya dumbut peje choji lamdoing chig imba yes chig labai tinge nordwa. Choji lamdoing chig remedwa. Ti mitiba chig redwa. That metibati any tawa tanguli imba the canderesina and metibo korang zebe tini chuba singing to what tekonani chuba juice. Tingi chuba. Tishin yin shen debe namje mai name min. Lame menga ki majembe uman jumbutsam yinos. Then the lame menga singing dawatabe menga kwa imbache.
Now, then, as for the Maitripa, so actually, in a previous class, I quoted, I sort of quoted. What I thought was it was a quote. I thought it was a quote from Lama Atisha's the Lamp of the Path, but actually it wasn't. I realized that was a mistake. It was actually a quote from Maitripa. So anyways, and it was from his text called the Dekonani Chupa. So the 10th, thus suchness or 10th principle, perhaps Dekonani Chupa. So he there doesn't do not only the Daotapagi Mengala Denedi is somebody.
Tishin shen debes, Dekonani shen debe. Namje mai name mis that the Kanderjalawi Nakashi. That in Lame Menga ki majembe uma jumbutsam yinos. That Lamadi Menga singing the Dawatabar Kogu Yamare.
Menga, no. So anyway, in this so funny. So undergoing a procedure here as I. So anyway, in that text, what it comes down to is that in terms of the view, he was following. His explanation was like beautified by or decorated by the quintessential instructions of the guru, and what he meant by that was. So I must have got that wrong when I said he was the guru of Anyway, so he said of the guru. So this is Majipa, right? So he was talking about the quintessential instructions of the guru, and the guru that he was referring to was Chandakirti. So I think I said just now that Chandakirti was his guru. That was wrong, obviously. No.
That Tiniji Mada. O Tuschene, that Kajubagi, Chungutusa Jahalia Chashavina, Tuzuk Kanga, Pandetayu Komana Shinche. That Tene, Pyogi, that Kajuishing the Soju to Marvare, Milan Kazang Lung Tanza, Jizumela Lung Kazan, Yaman Tanza. That Marbe Kadisungur Sena, Sharchu Kangen Damduchi, Jim Medichimbo, Kadinki, Shi Chuni Gawa Maberto, Sem Tonganila, Barsinche, Tentor Newman Wotong, Kusum Mata Mundujal, Miku Treva Tenacious, that Karsungudusana, Lama Maba, and Sharchu Kangen Damlea Tabins, the Shar Sadi, the Candidatin Shar Duina, the Page Horan in Shal Chagio Mendo.
No.
Oh, that very gentle Hojo Shirvata.
No.
The Kandar Sharchu Kangendam Tabins and Lamasu Jess, no Medua Jessos, and Shichuni Gawa Meva Musum to Dawsons, and Travagangatene Chesos, or Tosungdoa.
Yeah, so then that's the masters in the tradition or the lineage of the Kagyupa, the Kagyupas that were themselves Indian masters. So they were all Prasangikas, evidently. Then, as for the Tibetan masters, so I already quoted from Milarepa, so that's clear. Then, or what about Marpa? So Marpa himself says in his teachings that he went east. So he was from Lodrak in the south. So he went east, and he said he met Metripa, and through him he was able to realize which was freedom from elaborations. So this shows that he also was in that same tradition and was a Prasangika master. No.
What to do that? Saja, Gargu, Nima, what to do? Kuntusal Tevina, that Pandit Dawatawa, Dangomulu Gomba, Jixung Imbadoji, or that you sent to Zultani, Tahakoyachi do us.
And so, for those reasons, one can understand that those, those great early Sakya masters, likewise Kagyu and Nyingmapa masters, their source, the source for their understanding, their teaching on the view was Chandakirti and Nagarjuna, and they were all the same in that way.
Tinema Maraba, Mambuji Ma Peggy or Tuzu Rang Susu, Shitsuna Sochi, Yungu Yoba Yinza, Zumuzusati, Karinas, Tibetsudu, Tiba Yarvas, Janjarobeduji, Kanang Tanya Nasoji, Shepodogu, Zumuzusati, Karinas, Tibervas, Tiba Nanshingi, Kuntangunjo Tembe Drume, and Jermuchelia, Tobatundeme Tinalia. Chazo Sedon Zimejes, Jeje, in Gabajian Javiorvas. Tangatiji Suji Lago someday.
No. Sedon Zimidan.
That is Malayan. Chazo Sedon Zimeje. Chazos Chas Nakajubaje, Zos Nimate, Sedon Zime singing Sajaje, Chazo Sedon Zimeje. And Kandejilia, Munzinang Dusna, Ron Suchen Tarmetans. Draw the Wadi, Suchenashi Medeva. Suchen Rabanashi, Suchen Rabanashi, Toyer, similar, draw on Toyas Kayamara, Ron Suchen Tarmeta. Junji Ragwe Mitatsul. Junat and Jibati and Pedi the Rabbe Mitaba, Tokje Gumobo Surgery, Tendage Maimba. And Tonja Maton, Geldawa. You Korangi bet Tingarans or Su Tonso, that Tursus, Tendegaja Maimba, bed Tematoro, Nashi, Kanyang Musu Medava. Tonja Maton Geldawa. Those Kamba really, Tanzan really yore. Dong Suchen Tarme. Junji Rabbe Mitabetsu. Tonja Maton Geldawa.
Saudi Marwala.
Zawamare.
Okay.
Oh, Niti, Daba Tundemanima, Zawanima Lagi.
No.
Oh, Tiji Tandachi, the catch and which you do some beer.
So now, Yingudit Colorado, Nazotani.
Nazotanya, Shapudroja, and Jumusa, the Jishi ans.
No, really. So now let's really go into these last three lines of those two verses, kind of unpack that, because I think this is quite important. So he ends up saying, so you have these, various terms, reflective awareness, subject free, empty and luminous, primordial purity and spontaneity, Samantapatras, true phase, Mahamudra, the uncontrived, innate nature, neither is nor is not devoid of any standpoint. This is all splendid if the target is hit, but I wonder what you are all pointing at. So, so in other words, what he's saying is, you have those people who are holding that tradition, literally that lineage, holding that lineage. The later masters, the later holders of those lineages, and they have all kinds of terminology. So, like for example, when it says the Mahamudra, so that's the Kagyu tradition. Then does it say Dzogchen anyway? Chadzog. Dzog
said Dzogchen.
I don't see this in the English. Chadzog. So the Chag is Mahamudra. That's okay. Chadzog. The Dzog said the Injidinandamindua. Oh, it isn't Dimindua.
Dimare.
No.
Tango among Munzinali Yomare.
Oh, let's listen. Oh, let's listen.
Near the Kanen Dungu Yasana, Kondagonjo Tembe Dromegi, Jerumbucher, Tobatundemane, Lungden Cheche, Seshe Chigi.
Yeah, actually, I was getting mixed up. So, I mean, actually, some of the terms are similar, but what actually we're looking at now, in order to go into this, to sort of investigate this, because I do think it's quite important for us to understand, I'm looking at a praise to Lama Tsongkhapa that was composed by Kungtan Tembe Dome. So this is called the Dunden, so the meaningful praise. So he lists these terms. He talks about Mahamudra, which is the Kagyu tradition, Dzogchen, the great completion, which is the Nyingma tradition, then the Sedonzime. So the clarity and awareness without apprehension, so that's the Shakya tradition. Then no.
Chado Sedon Zime Jes, that Konanzu Kari Sungsu Chigla Karidusana, that Semgi. What driver service? That's some driver to let that. Oh, Delia, and Ron Suchen Tarmetans. Draw down Suchen Tarmet, Tunzen Tambuche. And in Juma than Jiba Toje Rabegi, Midab Sutin made of the chiche. Nibatiche. Tonga Chave, Yul, Tonga Mishi, Su Tonga, Nashi, Datavan Nashi, Tindegi, but you Zimba Meba, and Maranzo Chamber. Cheme gave a nashi, Tonja Matung, Gelda, Gavata Davas. Oh, 다티 숨바체 던전 숨바 다 던전 시바티 수수마 주바기 세점 식점 오다 틴데직 에네 니주디 셰소나 아니 담바 통화레스 니루타도 통화레스 이제 아니 롱기어스다 간다 이체칭이요 이체칭이 된데 두스 다 나라바 가지르다 다 젠당 가지르바 오 뇽라 덴동 롬창신스 된데 이나스 아니 로벤 초란다 취기 잡발로 쏘바 뒤주 아니 숙젠다르 매바 담비 타기게 주생 가서 그 샤바데 샘생인데 된데 많이 맞대 초란게 하고 그래 초라게 하고 그래 봤어 초란 잡아 쏘지장 등이 마통 마와차르스.
So in one way, one way of this that they speak, according to one way in which, according to some of their explanations, when they talk about identifying the mind or introducing the mind. So they talk. They say like free of coming and going. So no coming and going, like in the case of Drawing said the Zugnajingi to draw me.
Suchen Rabanashi, Rowan Shimeva, and talk to Tindegi. Junga the Jibanashi Chadra, Kayu in the Chadra, Servan Tindea Medeva, Junjira Bemitatsus.
So yeah, they say it's free of coming and going, where the coming and going would be, like gross forms. So they're free of any coming and going, like gross form. I mean, actually, another way of putting it would be like. Unlike gross form, it's free of coming and going. Maybe that's better. Then free from arising and disintegration, like in the case of like also kind of gross forms, but like solid objects, which like cups and so on, which can break. So free of that kind of arising and then disintegrating. Then also not holding on to objects in the way that the sense consciousnesses do. So not existing as form, being mere clarity and mere awareness. So they say that seeing that, then you see the truth. By seeing that, you see the truth. But really, one response to that is that in that case, I mean, this is something, the nature of mind, this is something that Dignaga and Dharmakirti could understand very clearly.
That they show the Luju on the Chabina and in Jangolam Zonga Chambo, Tanda Karjubagi, Chacheng Yamshet Manye, Barawas Lamachik Senre. Barawa Laman Barawa Gundul Chachen Sen, and Chachen Sanje, and Laman Barawa in the shade Jab those chain or the Chidan Sem Korangi, and Nachi Jenju, Tinde Name David Yul Mite Chime Jesu Minju, Tate Sem. Soma machoba tagaranglia lene deje or dus cheati and tawata manden shine gumsu zapshirisha dus jermuchi or the shine gumsu zamshi gandosa res or the jermuchita chajen sembe jegi that jermuchi nyamyo tone disuma imbare or tinde inza ene dandandi benjelo san chugengi and 차첸 마 자와 자외 흉란의 마 수인도 어 텐다와데 생기 군조봉 어쩌베 인스 당고 생기 군조봉 어쩌 디간들에 단데 두조 강가진데 생기 군조봉 어쩌베 다 디젤 코란 subject loss chen 다 섬기 내로 뭐도 되나마 신의 세계 있으네 최저네 좀 탐자네 제제 이해돼 버지 두스지레데 도와스 다 유선 투졸 때네야 아니 세점 리점 텔이야 아니 뇽어들 된동롬 차한테 아니 된동 롬바지 레문도 생기 군조벌 아니 냠바샤바지 간 로고도 와스 다 내로 리베 토네 아니 샘게 강리야 아니 정심에 다 때는 배고네 아니 디간들 해내 대지데 여러와스다티 또부터벽가 계자로 와스 어떤지 다 때때 단주민도 와스 덴도 주민도 와스
So if we sort of look at some of the background of this, if I give some kind of account in terms of, like certain historical personalities, then let's look at this Kyabje Rinpoche Lamazon Kappa. So he received a commentary on the Mahamudra from his teacher Barawa, and so having received that teaching, then through his own experience, he concluded that when you simply keep the mind very clearly, when you focus on simply on the mind itself, without thinking about past experiences, past objects, not looking forward to the future, just the present mind, just keeping your mind on that. He says, when you keep your mind one-pointedly on that, just that, all you're doing there is cultivating calm abiding. And then later we have the Panchalosan Chogyatsen. So in his commentary to the Mahamudra, so the root text, not the commentary, so the root text. So there he says specifically that such a meditation is a meditation where you're identifying the conventional nature on the mind. And he, in his Mahamudra text, meditation on the ultimate nature of the mind, or introducing the ultimate nature of the mind, that's explained separately. So we can understand that there is a way of meditating on the ultimate nature of the mind and keeping your mind focused on that. But that's something that you could only do when you've already reached quite a high level of realization, when you've actually understood the ultimate nature of the mind. So he's making the point that these are two separate meditations, meditating on the conventional nature of the mind and the ultimate nature of the mind, and that they shouldn't be mixed up. No.
that tindir to ne chene tanda ene tande chakchen zokchen setong sungju o tuzugi tawa kyongchu thola ngashegi mazewe kyonggo res shikanya ngusung meba ene tinde tawa kyonggo res kaji mazel kyongwa loms o mazeba ene shikanya ngusung meba o tati senginelu o teodi tentambate te gomba yins o tendeche lala zeyang kyongche tors tomar da mebe tawa tenla mebe kabla ene chitural sobre bodo gogures muishi gombe kabla teya toba res ene kaya ngesung meba ene jiang da karsore jeju mi jeba and do somjo chego res
jiang jilimi
jeba mi jeba lala seyang tangbo tawa jeba chiche mushi gombe kala jeba yuni mebeche lala zayang jongze dors. Tawa jongbe kola ini tim lega gun mede bache. Ene yang kaji sumba chiyore. Sungi yang jeme jogom zams. Ene joba meba. Ene jogom zam chebaji. Ene tuyantame neru gomba yis. O tichene tala keba. Ene mimbar sungs. O ti tala keba mimbar ti sui sungba res chebe na. Jongolama zongo bachimbe. Ngare jebe nar chena. Lamri hangdong cheme juktela. Riri shindu gaba juan duwa. Shinlu gaba, ranglu shaba sine. Tawe shinlu gaba, tawe ranglu shaba, tawe shinlu gaba tala, ane tangbo gaba, niba gaba, sumba gaba, shiba gaba si. Wata tuzo imbare. Tala keba mimba sungs. Nye yanjoji lamna, kaji mazalwa, ane kanglia, shik jaba majeba, jongwati, ane tombani gomba yinche. Lala tangbo zayne, ane jayliya, ane kanya jaba meba jonggo gres, jigyo maris. Lala zayang jongze torus. Sungyang jueme jogom zams. Ane yu sunga inayang, telaya jaba yun jigyo meba, zomjo chene, shayati jogom zo chego. Ote tawa jonggo jogom zo chego res. Ote zo korte, ane tawa la keba memba sungyen surisna, ane jermu chego riri ne cheche. Lari chimena, ngare kozo inda, ngare kozo chena otusre.
Quand je dis que c'est sous bout de récit de yakchi son set sab commençant.
Oh, da ko dagi kazan da dagi 당보 슈드 오다 니마부 따대야 반대 다로도 루루 공부 통보 안 사자대야 통보 아니 가주대야 통보 오다 정말 찍어라도 와서 말이지 용거를 받아 다 자쟁기 시바냐 적쟁기 시바냐 아니 던데 가리용고 세돈 제메기 시바냐베 다 시베 레셰 접촉하실마 노스타인도 아니 같이 유를 잡아자니 제목과 아니 맞아버 정어티 엔 따와 컴peten스 아니 가셰 당보 다음에 따와 지도를 속으로부터 송해리야 단제 되네 디제들이야 아니 무슨 검백깔라 아니 따와 정백깔라 도저 리부터 근 내가 매봐 엔 좀저 천대이스 아니 다 수야 제메스 숨바티기 아니 지 가르 숨바 있느냐 텔레야 제제 매봐 아니 배정에 삼으면 레바랍로 곰랍세트레 배정 sem게 강양에 숨매봐 레바랍들 곰랍들 수야 제메 아니 조금 좀 아니 디탈 캐바 멤버 송스 디 나탄다 되네 숨부디 니워도 마지 연구도 내 제세 접지.
So when you hear about the real view of the Mahamudra, the Dzogchen, the union of clarity and emptiness, then it sounds like everything is okay. But then still the question has to be asked about the later masters. And so there are certain scholars who, certain masters who, when they're teaching these views, they say that the ultimate, the way to meditate on the ultimate view is without any kind of analysis of an object. So that's one idea. Then there are others who say that in the beginning, you need to analyze using the reasoning of free of one and many and so forth. But when it comes to the actual meditation, then you shouldn't use any kind of rational or logical analysis at all. And then there are yet others who say that whatever the object is that you're meditating on, you shouldn't analyze at all. So I think this is a bit like you find in Rinpoche's teachings, he mentions this idea that some people have, which is like it equates the a relaxed mind with the best kind of meditation. In other words, so the more relaxed the mind is, then the better the meditation, something along those lines. And so Lama Tsongkhapa, it seems like in his special insight section of the Great Exposition of the Stages of the Path, where he refutes refutes others' systems, mistaken systems, and then goes on to establish our own system. So I think that it's there that Lama Tsongkhapa actually refutes these views. No, actually, in there, yes, I forgot that. So in there, he actually goes through these steps, saying he mentions certain misconceptions, and then he says, so first a refutation of the first, then a refutation of the second, then a refutation of the third, then a refutation of the fourth. He goes through them one by one.
다 가지 맞을 경험을 세디 가르치기 어렸으나 딱 사면다와디 도게 교육이 딱지 미패배 남상하고 도야지 잘라지 말했어. 다가서 뭐마지 남상하고 도야지 말했어. 도게 교육 민베스 제바만 뭐 미제바스. 다 동행이 자와데 남도레스. 딱 간다 키도치 정도 사지도 디모와제. 다 동행이 자와데 남도레스. 근데 인도 남도 때문에 동해디 매우 차그래. 근데 인도 미도바 코너 조고 그랬어. 대다르샤나 니루 곰바 조그레스. 다와치 여임을.
No. So this that first one that I mentioned, where they say you simply shouldn't analyze. So so what they say, what these people say is that the ultimate view can't be understood, isn't really like immediately accessible to the logician. So what they say is, since the root of all suffering is conceptualizing, conceptualizing mind, then if you get rid of conceptualization, then you'll get rid of suffering. Therefore, you should meditate without conceptualizing at all.
That thing, Karsana, tender lukti, Jermuch Paka Indu, and that Jana Hashangi, Jia Yila Mijib, Tawa, the Jibujan Chagduas. Kaya yila mijeba gomba, or in Tigi and Kovets Awatilla, no Togo Miduas, Neja Kana Tentogo Midua, say Indu, or Tati Dagime, and Jojo Tabji Chalia, and the Manjimba the children of Sobalavia that in the Mambuji, teach and Cabayers that in the Lava
La good Kajiki.
Or Kajiki.
No, that
was
Jibumares.
하상 따도 다 집어 차기도 왔어. 아니 가르르스나 거기 자와들이 그냥 누구미도 왔어. 인도 누구레스. 저저 탑지 차래 짐바다 딘데 망보 주름을 서 딘데 망보 라비아 티간 여리 디인도 공백값을 그냥 일을 미제베 있네야. 팽그레스 딘데 라와 이 말이야.
No. Yes, so when I didn't get all this. Anyway, so when Lama Tsongkhapa refutes that view, he says it's like this is just like the view of Hashang, who taught that the way to meditate is without taking any object to mind at all. And so Lama Tsongkhapa said, by meditating in that way, you don't harm the root of psychic existence at all.
딘데 딘데 쮸베찰 나졸라비아 투무모임바 예베 아니 케바르여스
Ale, consultilagilo. No, no.
케바르여스
No.
딘데 케바르여스 라바이나스 아니 제르무체기 한도 체메나라 아니 쩌바점기 권이 케저거버 중나 코자 하샹이 녜던 따금 라이노시 안 던기 켈로모 소버스
No.
따와 녜던 거면은 아니 이집부지냐 있으네 던기 켈로모 소버스
And this.
네 이게 양저진도
셔버디 하샹데 되고 말했어. 셔베 차네 하가 요랬어.
그래.
그래 저거만도 지단 하샹다 따와 곰도 집벌에 나와서 오지러 왔어.
Ale,
근데 전에 저랑 하샹 따와 곰다는데 양다고 이거 켈레 왔어.
간단한 디지는 다 하자긴 나와는 집어레스.
집벌에.
맞습니다.
그래서 그 셔베 차네 야가 셔베 차네 하샹을 하고 이거 나왔어. 따와도 집벌에 있어.
Let's. So when Jhado says that, when Jhado says, your view is the same as the Chinese master Haishang. So then their reply to that is, no, we're not the same as Haishang because we're very much superior to him in terms of our the practice of the conduct side, of generosity, morality, and so forth. So Lama Tsongkhapa replies to that so what you're saying is actually your view is like the in terms of the view, of reality, your view is the same as the Chinese Haishang.
danzingi dati shombala en lodogi mikcheni che gogurubas sherab che gogurubas o tingoate en kamalashi gomrimnala nenjobe yishigi mikchela sherab gi chongi en nyomumbe danam pambar chede jiba mebar never chai mi dharmashindu mikzumba michaos ta tande khaya mugomba dus chabaina mikzumba nashires o tine kamalashi gomrimnala en nenjobe yishigi mikcheni sherabgi chungi ene nyomumba dada pamba chene jiba meba ne gogurwas ene milogo meba nashi mikchumne pingi marwas ne oti ya ti lungdente ya nangedwa.
No. And so what he says is to uproot self-grasping, you need the power of analysis that comes with through wisdom. So you need wisdom to overcome self-grasping, and then we can understand this from the Indian master Kamalashila's what you call it, the Gomrim. So anyway, stages of meditation, the Bhavanakrama. So there, he says that if you meditate without thinking, if you meditate without thinking, then it's just like sitting there with your eyes closed. Whereas actually, you need to meditate with your eyes open, in the sense of, you need to meditate by relying upon the analysis with wisdom.
Tatine tagiti takaji nibati 당보 동력이 따와 맞아봐 미도벌 공부 점지 코미추장 따와 zen에 있는 도구레스 따와 예배 제수 미도바 샤세 동력 공부는 로스 따와 예배 제수 미도바 공부가 아니 따와 공부를 누구였어 따담보 따와 예가 돈달라 제바체 리베텐 페고그레 리베텐 펜 따와 예자소나 아니 가야 제바 맞아 공부 강가로 아니 따와 공부 Dures what they love you in Mare. Tendavatilla, any Lunibatilia, Kanamekala, Tawa Toje Mitoba, Kansha Tawa Gomba Debaya Mitete, Tetana, Kansati, Chamba, Ninja Gomba Sojan, Tawa Gomba Euros. Kansati Tawa Tojan Lotella, Tavan Zinda maybe, near doing you gom to Midoshama Minute, Midobe Gomtella, Tavan Zinda. 매장에 등기 검도 캐라마 동원가 등기비스 다 간다 되래 잠바다 닝제다 지 도서관 거 검도 도서야 따오 검도 누구르베 가르선 따오 녜차베 제수 and Midobo Gombate and Tawa Gombagon Rudoas to the Jibaruas.
Yes. Then you have this second mistaken view, the second kachi. So this one is this one says that in order to find the view, literally to find the view, in other words, originally in order to realize the view, you do need to rely upon reasoning. But then after you've found the view, then all your meditation should be like completely free of conceptualization and analysis, and it would still be meditating on the view, the view, the ultimate view of reality. So to refute that, Rinpoche says that if you're right, if that were true, then the meditation, any kind of meditation on loving kindness, compassion, and so on, would also be meditating on the view, because you're also meditating without, analysis, ultimate analysis. No.
Tayam Kasa Gashigi Tindera Maris, Tawa Nyetsavi, Riben Namdan Tawa, Telenbelgon, Tawa Nyetsane, and Mito Gomza Ganga Sea Maris. O Ta TJ Telia, and Tambu Gom Jabekalia, Tawa Gom Tawe Corti, Jabachetche, and Tim Gotsu Savijela, and Mushigombe Yat Katula, Jiam, Yelemiche, Takaya, and Tom Joche, Gomia Tinde Chegores, and Tagi Nibatita, this Mandaruchi, or Tus Chevi, singing Chichua Imbare, Luxumbati. Can they do Sena? Tawa never Zamji Michojang. Tematadu, Tawe Jaba Tsare Chene, Midoba Kangsha, Nedon Gomba Yin Savaya, Sankeji Imbare. No. Or that Telia in Jeremiah Lambro Chemen, Kande Gabajas, or in Nikoga Langa Telia, any Gonda Yen, Nikoga Langa del Tawaji Gom, and Ni Shosna, and Ni Yonzola Tawagoma Durives, Tawe Jeba Chebe, Torni Tubo. So
then there's this third view, which is a little bit different from the second, as we'll see, because here they're not saying that, after you found the view, then all the non-conceptualizing meditation would be a meditation on the ultimate view. They say that you would start your meditation with a little bit of analysis. Then you would go into the actual meditation, where the meditation would be very much like meditating on nothing at all, not not taking anything to mind at all. So Rinpoche, in refuting this, says that if that were the case, then just before you go to sleep, you could analyze emptiness a little bit, and then the rest of the time, all the time you're asleep, you would be meditating on the view.
Or that the Teddy Chichidu that Tandelia Shirashat Devaske made the Suchirete, Chichidu, or Zumutusa, the Chishi, singing the Tawagona Kari, or Tuzumano, go ahead, catch Mishraris.
So this, maybe in the beginning, this might seem like it's not related to what we're looking at, but actually, if you think the way that this text, went at the end of the verses 15, 16, this is all splendid, but if the target is hit, but I wonder what you're all pointing at. So really, it's very important from that point of view. So, this gives you an idea, the kind of idea that certain later Tibetan masters did have.
No.
No. So now we're going to go back to the text itself again.
Sanyin Kandu Kidu Mambu, Sadon Zimeke Rangribas, that Tirvan Zumunzus at Tishi. The Sadon Zime singing the Sava Semji Tini, 동바 셈기 랑시 아니 세동 핀주 민도로와 사베 두나 세동 제메팅이 니루 타투도 아니 셰브레스 세동 제메 세데 살와데 세점 리점 생긴데 생기치니레스 다디 동바데 생기 랑시레스 다 동바데 랑원의 주 동바데가 숨고 연하면 미신다 아 인국으로 보다 인국으로 등어도 될 인국으로 다 되네 아니 등이 송도 주바데 세동 송주스
세동 수정은 디니 에미제버라
제다 내 인구 디데세 geb게저다 세동 지메기 랑기 리파스네 사자와게 세동 지메 랑기 리파스니 칸데지레스나 아니 사바 sem기 체니스 동바 sem기 랑신스 디니 예메 두 예데바티 아니 sem기 텔리아 로샤바도 sem기 튼다미 니루 다 곰바르도레스 나텐데르지 고위 허다 이나게디 딱단 루이 메미시
So yeah, so anyway, so look, if you look up towards the
salve tunaton tombe tunasel seton sunju
no. So yeah, on the second line of those two verses 15 and 16, so it says Sedon Zime. That's what it says in English.
salve tunaton tombe tunasel seton sunju kam seton zime
in Injidi, rather than the diverse terminology. Well, I mean, you know, since the zime could be the subject free, empty, well, maybe setong, Injidi kanina, setong zime, zimeki rangi ripa. So anyway, well, the point is that anyway, it's the expression. If we look at the expression setong zime, so sel, the clarity. So that's talking about the definition of the mind. It's a bit difficult to link it up to the English translation, I'm afraid. So anyway, so clarity. So that's the definition of mind. You know, when we talk about mind being mere clarity and awareness, so that's talking about the definition, defining characteristics of the mind. Then empty, that's its nature. In fact, of course, the nature of the mind, when we say it's empty, it means it's empty of existing from its own side, but whether they intend that or not, I don't know. And then, so the combination of those two. So this is the position or the idea that meditating on the combination of those two is what's meant by meditating on the ultimate view, you know, the ultimate view of reality.
Ta kotine sushi chik dona zime sachi doans.
No.
Zime sengenti keja kebar nazo shaya yordas.
No.
Berna sake shamba shitar sung yundu tsedila shena choba mes. Ene kowala shena ngenju mes. Doctor semna changsen mis. Zimba chungna tawa mis. Oda ti zimba sayati dinzin koyachi yungre. Yang kabre konanzo sungshe nala. O te konani rangun trube tongbe tongzin chungna yang zimba das. Ta tandaben pumbongabo tadaja ranshingi tongba naba tao sine shereni munan sungo warba. Tar pumbongabo tadaja ranshingi tongban telaya nyambar shabna ranshingi tongba resam tela nyambar shabaina ranshingi tongba ngebe mega ngebe lojiliya nyambar shabarwa
no
tongba ngebe zingirwa ranshingi tongba zingirwa o tatiyan tongzire tongni tukjere tongba tukjere tuda jere tongba tende sunga chi yore or Zimba Chuna Tawa means, or Cup to the Yamba Shabakala, Zimba Kayam Gores, or the Shizu Chire, Jendang Sun Chire.
So in this, these verses, it talks about maybe it's where it says subject free. That could be the word that he's translating, using to translate it. So in Zinme, literally means like without grasping or without apprehending. So I wanted to say something about that. So because this is in general interpreted in various ways. So one is that in the Shakya yes, La Shimbashita. No, yeah. So in the Sakya teaching called parting from the four attachments. So where it says if there is attachment to this life, then it's not dharma. If there's attachment to samsara, then there's no renunciation. If there's attachment to one's own welfare, then it's not. There's no bodhicitta. And if there is grasping, then it's not the view. So now, one way of explaining that grasping in the fourth of those, the parting from the four attachment, is if there's grasping at true existence, then it's not the view. But actually, there are also some, Sakya teachers who would say that actually, even the mind that's apprehending, so this word zimba can be sometimes translated as grasping, sometimes as apprehending, depending upon the context. So the mind that's meditating on like nothing existing from its own side, non-existence from its own side, or the emptiness of existing by its own nature. So anyway, the mind that's apprehending emptiness, that's also wrong. So that's also grasping at emptiness, they say. So actually, when you're meditating on the view, what you need to be doing is meditating without apprehending anything at all. So that is one way of explaining that. No, so then you have, okay, so I think that must have been the line anyway, where it says reflexive awareness, subject free, empty and luminous. So that must have been what we've just been talking about, because then it's more obvious with the next line in Tibetan, which is talking about the Nyingma view, or anyway, their views. So that's more obvious that it would be the next line where it says primordial purity. So that's the Kadak. And then spontaneity, yeah, that's okay. And then Samantrabhadra's true face. So that's talking about the Nyingma tradition.
Tele ya shardevegi ribati sunguyo insare.
No.
Ngoti the gendama chone shadana shinji the dinegi shen jabji paji shubina mo rangon to be tombares mo kadas or tele rangon to be tombal shardeve ranshi and sem rabadi mahimba and sem the tragic sem machuba or tender fundures and tedan thingy boti and yermeres and nangame tujires mo kata ranshin lundu nangame tujis or this ngore that gets a dodoshina mo kata shebe tondam chatche ranshin lundu shebe kunzo chatche and nangame tujis said the Deni Sunju teacher. Tuji said to the basic corona and the Mavre. Kata Hunduki, Kunsan Rashi, the Kunsan singing, Dangame Tuji, the Kunsan. o tire
Chesandi Kunsa Rashi Seti.
kunsa ranshi sayati dini sungju tel kokore kada hundu ki kunsa ranshels ta 지단 개초 단데 리세 교단나 신지기 단위 딘스 체제 아니 파슈베 있는 배 러버도 라몬드 트베 동바 아니 디셈 동시 최전 셈 아니 딩이 예메 들이야 아니 토마다 타마 트베 타타 톰 두스레스나 다다 줘야지도 와
So the primordial purity. So when we look at this, anyway. So the primordial purity is talking about the emptiness, the actual, the ultimate nature. And then when it says the spontaneous, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, spontaneity. So this is. Talking about the fact that the mind that's meditating wouldn't be a gross level of mind, but a more subtle level of mind. So then, when it says the Samantabhadra's true face, so that's talking about the combination of those two, the unity of those two. So maybe using the Gelupa terms, then where it says primordial purity, we would talk about the emptiness of existence from its own side, so the ultimate nature. Then when it says spontaneity, that's talking about the conventional levels. In other words, actually, it's talking about the two truths. And then when it says Samantabhadra's true face, so that's talking about the union of the two truths.
Mm-hmm. 다 이나양 코난 쪽이 딱 나라바기 실수 가지기 토라 다 뭐가다 랑신hundu 당감에 투지 틴데기 셈기 모텔라 아니 냠버샤바 티 아니 춘이고마 돈통고마 셈들이야 냠버샤바 돈통고마 로마르와 티 군조르와 어디 kunsan gerangse o seksem tereda kunsan rangsi kandar kundu sambe tomada tamata tabe sem tilia ene ene nyambar shabati tontom gomba is o tisana tata demason
no. However, there are some who say that where it says the Samantabhadra's true face, so this is talking about the mind which is has no beginning and no end. There's no beginningless and endless mind. Tomadan tami mebache dindi. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, thanks. No, so actually, what it comes down to is they're saying that this is talking about meditating on the clear light mind, and what they say is that meditating on that is meditating on the ultimate reality. But in fact, that isn't meditating on the ultimate reality, is it? That's talking there. You're meditating on the conventional nature of the mind.
Mm-hmm. 디 군조비 최 고마치를 누구르마도 내루고마 누구마다 디체 나한테네 마주 행계기 찾아청보스 다디 착생기 거가지고 찾아는데 숨겨래 다 마주 행계기 찾아청보스 생긴데 엔 사르트 줘봐 마임바 뉴마 엔 행지게베 이시 수전 강도야 마주바 동산 난가도 o tendawegi semtelia and nyamrashani and gombaina and chaching gombais that semlia nyamba shabaji gan ruwa arata.
Majaba Nangatawo.
O Sujan Kando ya dadere o Dugang gi le sardu macheba nyume sem henji kebe yeshe imba Koran Sujan Kando ya majuba Tongsan Namkatabu ene chaja chimben nilu tatutu. Oti.
No. Then the next line where it says the Mahamudra, the uncontrived innate nature. Majulingi Chagachambo here. The Mahamudra, the uncontrived innate nature. So here there are those masters who say that meditating on the Mahamudra, meditating on the ultimate reality, is meditating on the nature of the nature of the mind, which is something which has not been like newly created or fabricated, is like space. It has no physical attributes, the primordial mind. So meditating on that is meditating on Mahamudra. But this again also is actually a case of meditating on the conventional nature of the mind, meditating on the conventional mind.
Ta yomi mimi ki kena tel sops. Ta yomi mimi singende yang kaji chigresha. Baza nima trabala sobe sonzi kashi resha.
Baza nima traba.
Shang tangsaba so sadirwa. Shang tangsaba so. Chö tamje yoba yamai, meba yamai, niga yamai, niga mayimba yamai, kena tamje the trawa. And dandedi ngala tamja mebe na ngani keme khona isini jiksungoro ta di chikjam thune kana khangya mebe ani ta jian yile mi jiba jibre phe kana da tawa tela ani nelu thadu stop chi yo
no then it goes on to say neither is nor is not devoid of any standpoint. So when it says neither is nor is not, so actually what this is talking about is the view of the Patsab Nima Trakpa. So no.
Patsab Nima Tragi Jesu Dambe Shang Tangsabas Shang Tangsabas Suna Yakshure
Shang
Tangsaba
Tangsaba Kurangi Dindi Sungidos
Do Patsab Nima Trag Suna Tata Digumendo Umajugo Union Patsab Nima Trage Patsab Nima Trate Tawati Permissive Yabu Gejayore Sharavatan and or Tayush the Geja Chamdur.
Actually, not Patsab Nima Dapa, but someone who followed somebody who considered himself to be a follower of Patsab Nima Dapa called Shang Dang Rap. Dangsap. Oh, that's what it says. Shang Dangsap. So anyway, this is referring to the view that nothing. So that everything is, I have to put it this way. So neither existing, nor non-existent, nor both existent and non-existent, nor neither of the two, completely free of any assertion. So there is, there is that teaching, that kind of like idea, and so actually this is derived from a mistaken understanding of something that Nagarjuna said in his teachings, that he has no assertions. So he actually did say that, but this is a kind of a misunderstanding of that. No, so no.
Yeah. That Tsugi coming Sundanti and Kiru Rinpoche and domdoch gavioris Kyabje Rinpoche. Kyabje Rinpoche tati cheme nala and kado da ibla soban didan duki musung mega sale shigewege sacha mangaba teba tingi jenchergi nyongetse sem maju some rango tonga tang semgi nilu tonga cheba yede tadagi tondiri shab shumba tonga pumbe nilu tonga debadan kebar mes disone dimason
Tabadite. Hakasan.
당보다 하고 마서
No.
딘데스응거래 카도라 가서 셈라 카도단 로온단 되게 랍차임바
No.
입다 저 가야 무슨 매바 인 세점 릭점 살레 릭스나 세점 릭점 설자 디테바 딩이 젠처 뇽와티기 아니 니루통아 섬기 니루통아 아니 누구여나 아니 돈데 샤슌 추교와 통회 아니 분배내로 통 개발면도 왔어 데 세시르바드 생을 챙이르바스
No. So Kyabje, in his in one of his teachings on the Tatiso, like teaching on the view. So he kind of summarizes this this kind of assertion by saying that if like meditating on the kind of like naked nature of the mind, which like having no color, no shape, no physical attributes, no coming, no going, mere clarity and awareness. So if seeing that is seeing the ultimate nature of the mind, then when you see, so now you have to know the definition of a vase, which is the flat base, round bellied, flat based, and with the I can't remember how it's put in there, like yeah, with the the without the thing that we call a vase, the thing that's got this sort of like lip over the other side, sort of like goes around like that, right at the top. No. So anyway, it's the definition of a vase, right? So it's the definition of a vase. So what that would mean, if they're right about that, because actually that's just the conventional nature of mind. I mean, they're talking about the definition of the mind, defining characteristics of the mind, conventional, mind. So in that case, knowing the definition of a vase would mean you know the ultimate nature of the mind of the vase.
No. In Kyabje Rinpoche 동통 계산명제 나라. 중타 민둔배 케 지점 채와 따와 때는 레베 두케 채와 따르 무곰벌 곰두 찌야 일라 미제바 곰발라 개발 매베스. 다지 당복 검당 털이야 애는 지 단데 세동 송주 송구연나레 가다룬루 송구연나레 드즈 털이야 공루 검다 민다 망부지 타년 담민다 망부지 민다 송구레스 무시 검백깔라 애는 셈지야 일레 미제바 곰바디 애는 직송 용거도 왔어 직송 때는 베기도 왔어 지 중단 민등바 체제를 채와 랑동다 신동다 추니 담바 투마투소 진라베 조바 첨부 제바 탐제장 삽도인 냠수 렘베체 민라와 중세장 매벌 아니 샘세점 리즘 지라 아니 조야 대가지 강 딘도도 왔어 쟤는 가봤던 거야 기도를 이제 가봐버렸어
뭐지 갑라 안에 지양기를 미쳐봐지
샘세자 리즘 지게
근소배란신. No. And then in his Dongchemo, so that's translated into English as there's a translation of that which is usually the title, what do you call it, drop of emptiness. No, dose of emptiness or drop of dose of emptiness. Dose of emptiness. The indicator is just a demon and the drop of dose or drop of emptiness. Huh? Dose of emptiness. Yeah, I think it is actually dose of emptiness. That's what it's called in English anyway. That's how it's been translated. So anyway, what Kyabje says in there is that so although these different masters have their different terms that they use for explaining things in the beginning, when it comes to the actual meditation, really all they're talking about is meditating on the conventional nature of the mind. They all say the same thing, really, because really what they're telling you is meditate on on clarity and awareness. So that's just the conventional nature of the mind.
Semdi namsha gomba ka semdi rangshin te gomba le ini chama chamgi do is o tindis sungu yar ne tande nya maso beje sikti nya maso shengi jesu o tumda tizu damende sungu reke tartu ma phabi yundu and sen some rizam o tindeci and those ya Telia in Nilugombagalaya and somewhat Jingzong Chanurus.
So I wasn't able to find this passage, but what it says there is that that all of them, this is what Kyabje says, that all of them, what they're actually doing is getting you.
They do.
Oh, found it.
Chumtam mintumbe ke chizam chayang. Tawa tenla bebe tu ke chewa tar mugombar gumdu chia yila mecheba gombala kebar mebes
chia yila mecheba dan ani de kunzobe ranjin de sesam resan kompeti kakaro
re that's re chumdam mitumbe ke chizam chayang tawa tenla bebe tu ke chewa mugombar gomdu chia yila michebar gombala kebar mebes ta ngachi jinju lo yue mi shuk chebre ta hedwas tongsang ta semdi tindeji gombares tindes sigiyore o ta delia jamgorum logi chile sungje chiksar kaje naso sanga nyime lula hedewa jigoremen duas hedewasna tongsang에 세팅보다 디슈들 상탈에 세지 두as hedewala 상탈에 세지 어 상탈에 세티기 안 컨더 디기 단다 라지 다와이나 셰라님베 사문나와 셰차에 띵들을 녀바 슈크스네 이거 셰라님 본것도 열어 좀 된데 사문나와 셰차에 띵들을 녀바 슈크스네 사무세야디 동바들어와 나와서야디 단단디 다 괜히 디바점기 땡디기 나와 들어와 어 괜히 디바점기 땡디기 나와 규천도 제베 아니 라몬도 좀 동반이라 아니 냐바 샤바레 사지 또 고야래도와 땡중 동배 tro스샤 동바 땡중 tro스샤베 어 땡데지 땡데기 동반이라야 냐바 샤바지 임바지 고야 독스 숨고도와 사문 나왔어야지 어 대인도 따단데 헤드와 사야지 사모디기 된대체 상탈에 사야지 나와디 따 세점 리점기 리바 상탈에 사야지 디간 로고도와 대인도 시초전 가야 매버지기 동상에 랩되면도 시초전 아니 리바티간들 내고도와스 군조시부 동바라면도 왔어. 근데 지 나라 된데지 거대서 다들 밴 따단 누구에 미신다.
헤데와다 상해
헤데와라 상탈레스 헤데와 쪼고라면도 왔어. 디슈고들 상탈레스니 지용도 왔어. 어 디인도 군조시부 동상기 대자라면도 왔대. 가때 디는 상탈레디 용고 말 왔어. 그래서 디 직디 누가 충분해. 내내 야부 처음에 미신 헤데와 쪼고라면도 상탈레도 왔어. 디디 내가 충분해.
그러면은
Tinde indu tumda metumba ki chizam chenaya tawa tenla bebe tu kebar chewatar megombar gumdu chiya yila mechepa. Tati gumdu chiya mechepa sayado koyore. Le barabla gom rab shebe tanya tabre. Te indu kaya mechepa kaya yila mechepa tongsang le barab tere gom rab sigore da. And tell you Zimba Chuna and Zinshen is the journey Zivreta. Alice in the Nilu 20 Zimbateleya in Tongzi is no, Tombani took James in the
Sud. So yeah, I found the passage, and so what Kyabje says is that they have all these different ways of explaining how to meditate with all their different kinds of terminology, but when it comes down to the actual meditation, then the teaching is exactly the same. It's meditation on the conventional nature of the mind and calling it meditating on the ultimate reality. So actually, in relation to this, so, well, if you think about the, first of all, if we think about the phrase that comes up early on in the Heart Sutra, so it talks about the Buddha meditating on the engage, in equipoise on a meditation called the profound illumination, I think is the term that it uses. Profound illumination, samonawa, so profound illumination. So this is explained as meaning, so the profound refers to emptiness, and then appearances, talking about the appearances of dependent arising. So it's actually talking about the way in which emptiness and dependent arising, support each other. No. And particularly, in this context, because it's the Buddha, then actually the mind being in equipoise and also in the subsequent attainment, in the state of the subsequent attainment simultaneously. So otherwise, in general, then this is talking about the way in which dependent arising somehow supports the idea of things being empty, supporting the fact of being dependent arising. So in relation to this, His Holiness the Dalai Lama makes the point. So I hope I'm conveying what he says. So no. Hedeva said is Zamon, and Santiago said it Rigpa now. So he, when His Holiness, there's a couple of terms that they use in the Nyingma tradition, and I'm really not sure how they would be translated into English. So let's just look at the Tibetan terms, and then let's think a bit about the meaning. So they have these terms Hedewa, and then Sangtale. So anyway, the word Hedewa, and maybe I'll see it one day and I can look it up. So otherwise, I've got no idea. What it's referring to is the profound. Okay, so the profound. So remember, the profound illumination. So it's talking about the profound side, and then this Sangtale. So that's talking about the conventional side. So it's actually talking about Rigpa, what they call Rigpa. That. No.
Tanya kono Rigpa Sangtels.
No.
Hedewa said the Tong Sange, and the Rigpa Sangtels and the Rigpa to Karso, Zangjiang.
No. I'm going to call like
Rigpa Sangtel Konanzu, the Tanya.
No.
Hedewa Sangtel said the Sigje Konanzuta, Zawajik Sigje.
No. And causes and the Hedewa said the Chikas the Tong Sangtel.
Koyan Deshe. Ma Jabiyundu and Tongsange Ganglia, and Dusin or Tiganlia, Tongshi Church, Riba Santel Tigan go to us. Gia never don't want to remedy us.
So it's sort of the way that this that first one, which is linked to the profound, the hedewa. So it's like sort of it's characterizing the meditation as being one on this kind of like vast emptiness, but not like emptiness of like total emptiness of existence or emptiness of inherent existence and so on like that, but just that appearance, completely vast, open, empty appearance. And so what they're talking about is the rigpa, the awareness rigpa. So so the point is, anyway, they don't talk just about that, the profound. They also talk about this about the conventional side as well. And so I think this is very much like, again, this idea that the most, how do I put it before? So something like the lure up. So that would be like the best kind of like relaxation in the mind. So when the mind is completely relaxed like that, then that's the best meditation. And so what's important to understand is for them, the meditation should involve no grasping at all, because remember, they say that even if you're apprehending or grasping emptiness, that's also grasping. So that also needs to be kind of like completely dispensed with.
That shunzen korana mandosha word asking. That's it. Chidun mashibe lutu migus toma dengi nam gege zujis ranri mai yang special tebe namri mawakun gege zujis rangsan madu yang tendil tabe shasun kembokun gege zujis ne da kaskur o jagane ma tardebegi tumda oman namgi Tawata, Matumbachi, Yobe Inaya, Dining Namsha Josula, and Gandu Yomare, Dining Namsha Jotugure, and Kiranzo Sende Gomares, a Sunguyore, Chatama Kiranzo, and Tanga in the Mandeshe Jai.
Yeah, so let's go on with the text. We're looking at verse 17, 6 lines. So this says the external matter is not dismantled. Vaibhashikas and Sautrantikas, worry not and be pleased. Though no reflexivity, cognition and cognized are tenable, so all the Vijñanavadins do be pleased. In intrinsic nature's absence, dependent arising remains stark. So O3 Eastern masters be pleased as well. So here he's talking about how they don't need to worry because of everything, being empty of existing by its own nature. No.
Chide mashibe lutu mugu toma dengi nam jeje zuji sayatigi da tande ji chirama wadon deba koransugi du tarab sane da chame sabe and chide rangone tuba don tambar tuba o tende jinde and tanjuwa dugu mares mare ti and chide tegres and chide di dondamda tanye kanggane kayo mares Tende inza chidun shigyo mare di indu kunzo digi sama jo tugre in keransu semde go mare keransu gi chamya sabe raba en ten tambe chidun de kaba inaya chidun jidan dugre di indu tama dingi keransu gi ta sem kasa tanyu kera ta kunzo shaya mebare dugdusne kunzo chesha mebrendo semre gogo mare 지다 치던 캘링그래 돈돈 타냐 강강원도지나 데레 다 치던 랑원도 줘 까버려 모두 치던 까야 말 디인잔 날겨야 말했어
kunzo 가야디 가요 말했어
kunzo 치던 아니 참여사버라 랑원도 줘 치던디 누가 띵에 까버렸어 데레 까버려 모두 치던 까야 말 디인잔 치던 예배 차네 아니 kunzo chödus ganga shathugre en keranzulo debuches.
So these first two lines, so external matter is not dismantled, Vaibhashikas and Sutrantikas worry not and be pleased. So the Vaibhashikas and, in the Vaibhashika and Sutrantika systems, you have this idea, of external objects made from partless particles. And they say that they have the assertion that this is ultimately exists ultimately. So what he's saying is, you don't need to worry, because we do refute external form existing from its own side, that we don't refute external form. So you don't need to worry that just because they don't exist from their own side, that they can't exist at all. So this is, somehow of addressing the argument that's made that by the Vaibhashikas, Sutrantikas, that if you say nothing exists from its own side, then it's the same as saying nothing exists at all. So he's sort of reassuring them.
That chidun dendu kabe chidun sing number lutsu mugoba in nangzam the chidun in kelembe in krans semde gogumare satiche.
So that's saying, you don't need to worry, because we do accept the existence of external objects that are mere appearances. So we say they're mere appearances, but we don't refute them. We do say that they exist, external objects.
That's same zamba. Rangri mai yang special tebe namri mawakun gege jus. That Rangri singing the sense of Rangri singing the Karjane, Chever Shago Chumbarasana, the Rangone, Udine, Tuguachre, Tende Indu, Yul Yabati, Su Dugresana, Yunzing Shabati Dugre, Yulzimbe Shabati, Yabati, Su Dugresana, or the Rangri singing that do Yungre, or Tind Rangri singing the Navaji Godo, Timena, and Yulzimbe Lo Yabati, Shatu Mendo, go Tautanzani. Jingya goro te indu ta rangri ngaba chendu shago go dosne rangri shago ve gyusen tel tores ta rangri maring ke mena ya special tebe namri mawa gu gege zojisne manzo tanju lula ane tauden zani nyeba mebe inza yul yoba tegi yuje yoba du tugure yuje yoba tegaran yul yoba du tugure o pinzu tebe wangi ani yoba du tugure ko yujegi yanyo shabashandaji shagwaya yomaris ti inda rari ma inja special tebe namri ma ko gege zoshis.
Then when it says though, is that right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So though, okay. So reflexivity. Okay, so though no reflexivity. So this is actually normally this one Rangrik is translated as there are various ways it's translated. Self-cognizers. Some say apperception. So you see different terms in the English translations. So anyway, though there is no reflexivity, cognition and cognized are tenable. So all the Vijnana Vadins, the Chittamatras, you should be pleased, you should be happy. So as for the reflexivity, what he calls reflexivity here, so self-cognition, self-cognizers. So why they need to posit the existence of such a mind is like this. So they say that the object exists from its own side, and you can only posit the existence of such an object because there is a mind that realizes it. So then, what is it that posits the existence of that mind? That would be the self-cognizer, the reflexivity. So what Jangara Doji is saying here is that there's because we don't accept anything as existing from its own side, and we don't assert anything existing from its own side. So what we say is that there is the object because there's the mind realizing the object. There's the mind realizing of the object because there's the object. So they somehow mutually they're mutually dependent. And so there's no need to assert some other consciousness that's realizing the mind in order to be able to posit the existence of that mind, the mind that's realizing the object. No.
That rangse matu jang tendir trawe shasun kembokun gege zojis. Ta tan tamar mena ya. An ko yobar joyate rang ngene tuba. Rang tsenyi tuba. O tendi gores. O diji mena en ko yobar jotu mare tobe kanso chadu res. 제제 레벨링 된게 텐데 순구 요래 나는 시호초야 텐데 순구 레벨 이신이 텐데 순 샤슨 게 텐데 순구 여자 에네 다 단교베 룰라 에네 유랑 마투 나야 민기 타냐게 왕기 샤섬게 토네 에네 텐데 강가 여바 샤투야디 가장에만 알아서 랑칭이 주버가 버시 숨버봐 리버시 가장에 말랍사이 말 라문의 주버가베 된다면 깨와 메케바 타와
올려지
파뱅냠 샤시 뭐베 지교 타와 된다면 깨와 메케바 타와 아니 저 단위에 대마르 베체스 타와 레 파뱅냠 샤시 뭐베 지교 타와 단위에 대마르 베체스도 타와 된다면 깨와 메케바 타와 저 담제 랑동도 숨바 메테바 타와스 오다 텔라 소베기 and Rangi Gober, woman which soon on the Gabe and Tanya Zamgi Tone and Kunzo Chajaganga, then the Kelling, not then the Shigmar, then the Kelling, then the Jotur, Dinza, Shasun can be cananzo, no Devaji shoes.
Then it says, in intrinsic nature's absence, dependent arising remains start. Oh, three Eastern masters, be pleased as well. So the three Eastern masters were listed before, like Gyanagaba, then Lidenji, so Bhaviveka and Shandarakshita. No. Yeah, so Gyanagaba, anyway, those three. So so for them, okay, nothing exists ultimately, but everything exists inherently. If they don't exist inherently, then they just can't exist. So there's no way for them to be able to see how something could exist if it doesn't exist from its own side. And besides that, they say that if as you say, if as the Prajna say, everything is mere imputation by the conceptual mind, then it's like anything that's the object of a conceptual mind would have to exist. So they say that. So, however, what we say is that even though things don't exist from their own side, we don't deny the existence of things in general. We can definitely posit the existence of things on the basis of not existing from their own side. So in other words, relating back to what we were talking about a few evenings ago, that there were these four absurd consequences that would follow from things existing from their own side. You might remember, so there's three that comes from the Madhyamaka. So there's the one which is it would follow the wisdom of the Arya's wisdom of meditative equipoise would destroy things. That direct perception of emptiness would destroy things. Then the second one is that conventional truths would be able to withstand rational analysis. Then the third one is that one would not be able to refute production from the four extremes. Then the fourth one is that the emptiness of things would be like tower. Yeah, it would be it would not be viable. It wouldn't be reasonable. I think is maybe the word. It wouldn't be reasonable to say that the emptiness of things, of the two, other emptiness, self-emptiness, that it's a self-emptiness. You wouldn't be able to say that if things were existed from their own side. So in other words, we, despite the fact that, those four absurd consequences do all, actually apply if you say things exist from their own side, nevertheless, he's saying, we can definitely posit the existence of dependent arisings, the conventional existence of dependent arisings. So therefore, you should be pleased as well.
That tigi domtoji zawashera tsiji longji tangwa sange. Kate dida kuntongna jungwa mejin jigwa me pabe demba shubone kyola meba tawa yursene. That randa ranjuba menchegi and tundama tizegi tanjuwali ya shugu yore. Tuzo kanga rangone trube tongba inas. And chue tamja rangone trube tongba ina and karsana jungwa tan jigba singen ta jungjing tendi gyunde tendi chaje de taya mendus. Gyunde tendi jungjing la soba chaje meteba ina and pabe demba shia yungo mares pabe jungwa mejin jigba me pabe demba shibuna kyol mebata pabe demba shimena lame yungo marita kyab yungo marita yung mares no ta tuzo kanga tisungo yorba o tus chene tar rangyu ba menje oman namji tangyu wale tus chi ya zhe yung be kabla ane mambo de land mambo kyon yorte ti domtochi katen diku me dona jungwa meji jigwa me pabe demba shibuna kyol meba tawrju ta rangwen triba matona ane ti rangwen triba ina gyunde tendi chaje tegi mare ko rangwen triba rabas o ta rangwen triba matong ina ane gyunde tendi chaje tegi mare kyaran ngal tsutsebe jobate kyaran pa jugres ane gyunde tendi chaje machena ane dungal kunjung jung sayada ane lam gumbale goba jung sayada yungu mares o toschen pajilar ta kon sitingi katen dikun dita kun tongna sayada dikun metona singi de nengaduas
No.
ta kaje te watires dizo.
And so really we could kind of summarize all this with a verse that comes from Nagarjuna's fundamental wisdom verses. So there he says that if all these are empty, so first of all, he's formulating the argument made to him by this everybody from the Svatantrikas downwards. So what they would say to him is, if all these things are empty, if everything's empty, in other words, if everything is empty of existing, if everything is empty of existing from its own side, nothing would be able to happen. Nothing would be able to, come into being. Nothing would could disintegrate. There would be no dependent arising. There would be no cause and effect. Therefore, the Four Noble Truths wouldn't work. There would be no path, and so on. So they say that to him, that none of that would be viable. None of that would work. And his reply, although he does refute their positions in various ways, one very succinct reply is that actually, if all those things were not empty, then agent and actions wouldn't be possible, cause and effect wouldn't be possible. There would be no dependent arising, and the four truths would also not work. So in other words, exactly the fault that they accuse him of having, he says, actually that comes from saying that things are not empty of existing from their own side.
Digi yang karso loto shenji yang kagdoans. Pena tande yabaya mai mebaya mais tak kaya meba tindeji ngesung meba kunzo do yobe yogo chogo mares tindegi taduma je yungu yoros pyongaraba kaji tindeji taduma je yungu yoros yungu gomlu omellusu gomne rishigi singor ene manyeba tagarange ene rishigi kabares o dos chene tingi jigdu tune ene chö kaya yomares kelen tindeji yoba mai jawe dimasik o tinde lagachi chungbo bas o tenra tel tande zawashera tsigtigi ane 딱딱 내제 땡기도 왔어. 파나디기 랑원에 두바 만데베 있나 파베 덴바 실어서 규갱 자제 태바 이 용금이 두스나 어디 용금 말에 자제 태바 용금 말에 파베 덴바 시여 말에 슬랍신 디로 너 슬랍신 디야지로 너 스말라버진 파 우주ገብ제 가데 랑원에 두바 까마투바 있나 고마투바 있나 파베 덴바 시부디 켈메버 차도 규갱 때야 땡진 중에 매버 차도 냥가 두스 간주네 파 우주경 루도 디인도 랑루를 규경이 차제 태기여 봐 담바실라서 디도 군조 당연히 강가 때부진 저거요 어떠죠 강가래도
No. In a way, there's another misconception which is handled here with that verse or those verses. And that is that there are some people, as you know, I've already mentioned, as you know, there are some people who say that everything is neither existent nor non-existent or both or neither. So nothing exists and also nothing is non-existent. And so the reason that they believe that is because they're aware that a rational analysis isn't able to find anything. So for them, if the rational analysis, in other words, an ultimate analysis can't find, must mean that they don't exist at all. And so they say nothing exists. They say nothing exists because the Buddha could see nothing. So they say that. So actually, there's also with these words, he also undermines that view or refutes that view, because otherwise, when the Svatantrikas and so on say that if nothing exists from its own side, then there would be no cause and effect, no dependent arising, no four truths, and so on. Then Nagarjuna would have to say, yes, that's right. I accept that. Nothing exists from its own side, therefore nothing exists at all. But he doesn't say that. He goes on to say, actually, the mistakes that you say would follow from saying that nothing exists from its own side, actually they all follow from you saying that they do exist from their own side. In other words, what he's saying is that, yes, I accept that nothing exists from its own side, but I don't say that therefore they don't exist at all. I say that they exist conventionally.
No. 군조 캐네 말람바 내자 체벌 미체데스 만조 군조 캐랑 메스 두 넘들라고 말다스 대한 단에 캐는 게 여버디 디치데야 세우시라요.
Then in so there's another text by Nagarjuna called the refutation of arguments, rebuttal of arguments. So in there he says we would never say that things don't exist conventionally. So there he's saying very clearly that he does accept that things exist conventionally, isn't he?
Oh yeah, that is the sort of chess. That didn't tell
No. So it looks like time's up, and that means we didn't have time for question and answer, so we'll leave some time for question and answer tomorrow. Jawa malu gebe yakyu gangele tsu shingon Kyabje Jhado Rinpoche dembe tu losan Kyabje demba gegu chi nganze wangbo toge jengaru tanje zena nindo chembo ji seje Kyabje ngaje dembe losan Kyabje demba gegu chi tache zame gyube pewe Tube dumdu shega tenwa bu kyoto nanjin lumden dembe Lozan Gyawe Temba Kikyu Tawa Namda Taye Gomba Namda Jimu Mumba San Juba Namda Yawe Kashe Lozan Gyawe Temba Kikyu Mandu Tebe Kashe Sewe Tudun Jijin Yure Gungan Dendu Dundu Ngove San Lozan Gyawe Temba Kikyu Tangen Sura Malu Gyame Du Kanza Chigi Nyamnen Damba Nyapa Nyebe Niju Tata Ka Lozan Gyawe Temba Kikyu Lungju Tena Sungi Chinyen Tope Temba Lapsu Nyamnen Te Kejin Drube Nedu Jun Lozan Gyawe Temba Kikyu Chiru Nyinde Joba Shijindu Nandu Rinyi Nendu Tena Tonga Lamzan Geme Trotsuki Lozan Gyawe Temba Kikyu Gyuyi Tepa Shebe Tonga Tebu Dagi Drube Tejin Dan Nyamjo Chobon Geti Nyingi Lozan Gyawe Temba Kikyu Gyebu Sungi Rangi Sume Yuze Gunda Namse Leshin Tenson Namshin Yuzu Tutoki Lozan Gyawe Temba Kikyu Tona Paden Lame Kuze Kezun Tenzin Tambe Satin Tembe Jindo Ngatan Dawayi Lozan Gyawe Temba Kikyu Chi Janjo Zenjo Rinpoche Makye Pana Kikyu Kyaba Nyamba Memba Kone Kon Avara Jo Kanre Rave Kowe Shingan Dependan Dewa Malu Chungwe Dewa Denzin Gazo Yishape Site Pato Tengyuro Ji Tuzu Janjin Jangun Gawe Tenzin Gambewe Kunzu Topo Ze Chozun Kuwe Lemun Tutu Tazo Duje Gundu Shapten Jo Sange Demba Tawa Den Kape Ten Togun Degi Jungwa Dan Nega Tatu Tendu Jo Jamba Pao Chita Kemba Dan Kundu Zampo Tia Tejin Tutuda Kungi Jesu Talo Kewa Dida Tamche Raptu Moa Tusun Shepe Kyawa Tamche Moa Kanla Choto Ngaba De Dai Gewe Sawa Digu Sambo Jeje Raptu Noa Yi Chuyi Gyabo Songa Be Chusu Namba Pawala Gege Zama Shewa Ten Doing Sawa Sho Tatan Shingi Tuzon Dan Dawe Sonye Latini Gyawa Lozandra Bayi Temba Yuri Ba Yuru Ji Mi Me Sewe Te Chen Chen Rezi Prime Changengi Betu